Hello and welcome back to the James Project. I'm James. I'd like to start off with reading our viewer letters, which we get by the bagful every week. Here's the first one. Dear James, I'm a 19-year-old boy currently at Rutgers. I want to know if it is acceptable or cool to wear Old Spice cologne nowadays to get girls. It's a good question this young man asks me. Yes and no. Old Spice is kind of a low-grade cologne you buy at a drugstore, but it does have a hip and new ad campaign, so it's got a new reputation. So yes, it is the Pabst Blue Ribbon of colognes, but now you will get better bang for the buck, so to speak. I know that's a crude term here, but if you go to the drugstore and buy a cologne called Aspen, it is like champagne on a working man Mad Dog 2020 budget. Alright, better yet, if you're traveling, douse yourself. In fact, double douse yourself in Jaguar Noir. That is the cologne that gets respect around the world, especially if your budget can afford it. Now, when vacationing in Greece, Moscow, or even Glendale, California, this is the cologne to go with. Alright, next letter. Dear James, is it boxers or briefs? Well, I like to wear briefs because they're sexier. But for me, I have them custom tailor-made with a faux chinchilla lining that's nice and cushy. Another letter. Dear James, after our last date together, I think that I'm pregnant. Help. Margaret. Oh, that's a joke. Dear James, my name is Angela. I am having trouble with my 2008 Jaguar XJ8. The front suspension makes loud creaking noises and feels loose and rattles. When I drive my posh lady friends to our afternoon lunches and book club meetings and charity events, I get extremely embarrassed by this. How can I fix this? Well, good question. In fact, I know how to do this. And dear lady, I will teach you how to fix it. You can do it yourself in just a moment.
Control myself. You got what it takes to make this boy be bad. It's hard to control myself. Hard to control myself.
We're working on a 2005 Jaguar XJ8L front suspension, and we are hoping to change the lower shock mount stud. This is a bolt that commonly gets frozen in place, and we're going to have to cut it out. A section off each side of the circle so that it's more square, so I can maybe get a tool on it and get it out. But what I'm doing now is removing a lot of the suspension components so that we can get close to it. Unfortunately, we're going to have to be using this cutting wheel, and we're going to try to make some cuts on it and hopefully grab it and get it out. We'll go to that section in just a moment. Okay, the cutting begins. These are my safety glasses. Okay, we're going to go in and try to cut a little bit here. Section off each side of the circle so that it's more square, so I can maybe get a tool on it and get it out. So, as you can see, we've just ground two more little sections, that side and this side of that nut.
So it's almost square.
It's almost square, just to get the tool on that side as well to keep going a few more turns around. Of course, we've hacked up the mount a little bit of this, but it can still be filed down and recut and just repainted, and it'll look just fine, and it won't have all those gashes in it. But I have heard one of the Jaguar owners on the Jaguar forum website had to go through this and ended up spending about $700 between two mechanics and suspension experts because they had used all their impact tools on it and couldn't get it out, and they cut the other side of the shock mount off to get to it. So all these procedures cost the guy nearly $700, and we're doing it today for, well, maybe 20 or something like that. Okay. Here's a brand new example of that shock, air strut shock mount bolt. And it actually only costs about $5.80, but you only can get it through Jaguar parts. In case you're all wondering what the part number is, here it is. C2P5886. That would be the bolt you need. Good luck to you. This is that star I told you about that holds the star socket, goes in there and yanks it out, but in my case it was stripped, and sometimes there have been reports from other Jaguar owners, hold on here, at the factory they possibly used some kind of a thread locker, a sealant, an adhesive inside, and in turn went in here. So there was a lot holding on to this bolt, and it couldn't get out because it was so full of thread locker and rust just from driving it on the streets. And then of course the other side, which was basically a nut like that, welded on at the factory to the shock mount, and so it all gets very rusted and corroded, and then the thing just won't move. But this part is about $25. This is a big mount for the strut, and this is that bolt again. Here's another important step you've got to remember. You do have the car supported off the ground with the big heavy floor jack and the other jack stand under here under the frame, but you definitely better get your suspension, because as soon as this bolt comes out, it's going to pop down under the pressure from that air strut. So what I'm going to do is have a second floor jack here, and just to crank it up here right at the bottom of this arm, just to take some of the pressure off, just to hold it so it doesn't come shooting down. And should make this bolt a little easier to, it will make this bolt a little easier to get out here. As you can see, see the grinding marks here. We made it square, and all the rust and corrosion that made it stick inside. That's why these things are so hard to turn. You need to do this, put the new one like this in, but it's all got to go down in here. We need to loosen this bolt so that this whole steering knuckle can lower itself down and clear us another few inches. So just in a moment I'm going to undo this. I have the hex key in the end of the bolt, and I got this 19mm wrench here. We're going to undo the upper ball joint and steering knuckle mount. Now move the light. I don't know if you can see it here. Well, let's try it like that. Just put a light there, hold it, and you can see it's just, wow, those ball joints are all pretty loose. Look at this. Making sure that it's supported underneath by a floor jack so this thing doesn't all just crash down. Here's another idea. This is a common but heavy ball joint press. It may be able to work to press that bushing out of the suspension arm. So we're going to assemble it here and get it going. Whereas I want to put in this new bushing down where that old one goes. Way down. I've used the big ball joint press rented from an AutoZone auto parts place. And I've used a socket wrench. This was about a 1 1/16 socket with a 1/2-inch drive, and I've stuck it in the end of this, and it is actually getting out the old one of this. It's going to slowly start coming out of that press fit in that arm. In a moment we'll show you what happens after. So in fact, if you want to see me, I can start showing you what I'm doing here. We're going to just slowly, we're tightening the screws on this, and it's slowly pushing itself through into a nice hole on the other side. You need to have an open space on that other side so it all goes in there. Pushed it all out. Here's the old one. I broke it a little bit, but I've got a 1 1/16 socket stuck in the other end of it, and it just about fit the lip perfectly. And it pushed this entire thing out of that hole down there. What we're intending to do is to put in that new bushing on the lower steering support arm on the 2005 Jaguar XJ8. Here's a new one. What I've basically gotten is even a metric or a US socket will do. Now, what I want to do is not damage the rubber, so we're just going to lubricate that, and we're just going to fit this in here. You can see it's going to pop in, and it will form a tight fit. From here, we're going to push it in with the ball joint press, and it'll be a perfect fit without ruining it. So in a moment, we're going to show you the next shot. Here's the bushing about to go in down there into this arm. And I've got the ball joint press all lined up. Got the piece on the other side to act as the cup and the fulcrum. It'll just shove right in. And I've lubricated this, and it's slowly going in as I tighten this. Using basically, I don't want to say household tools, but we didn't need to use a torch. We haven't, or propane torch or anything to heat up the metal at all to get in. It's actually going to go in, and it will be fine. And I'll show you when I'm done. Going like that, it's very hard, but once it starts going, it's going to slowly start creeping in. And do it again when it is hard. You see, slowly going in deeper. Slowly going in deeper. Well, there you have it. I've just press fit the new lower steering arm bushing that goes into the air shock mount on this car, and I've pushed it all in with a ball joint press. Saved a lot of money doing it, and as you can see here, we're just reassembling and tightening back every little nut I have unscrewed earlier in the process. Now, since I've had my hands all over the disc brake here, the rotor, I'm just going to squirt it off with any old cleaner, and my hands too, and we'll be putting the wheel back on. We'll see if this thing actually solves the problem. Right. Tighten them snugly this way with the wheel still lifted off the ground. It's okay. But when we'll need to lower the tire, whole car all the way back to the ground to make it all nice and tight. I mean, that's why the wheel will be held, and I can tighten these lug nuts back down very well.
Suspension needs a moment to lift itself back up because the drag is stuck under the car.
And there you have it. I'm still wearing my stylish safety glasses after the dental operation on the lower control arm of the Jaguar to change the bushing and the bolt. I hope it's the definitive answer to save all of you out there a little bit of money. All right. Goodbye. Until next time. Thank you for watching. I'm going out in my Jaguar to meet some chicks. Me in my car. I get in the car. The beautiful thing about a Jaguar is it entitles you to meet people that you don't even know and have love with. Until next operation. Bye-bye. And I'm sure that video makes it look very easy for you too to do your own Jaguar XJ8 repairs. Dear lady back in Boston, Massachusetts, good luck on that one. And for writing us that great letter that inspired me to do that repair, I'm giving you a $5.80 piece from a Jaguar to put on your automobile. Good luck to you on that DIY operation. Now I too am going to a little party.